Hi, I'm Kevin Mahan.
And I'm Sam Chaplin.
I host the Attitude Era podcast.
And I haven't seen any films.
And welcome to Cinema Swirl. Hello everyone and welcome to the first ever episode of Cinema Swirl, starring Kevin Mahan and... Hello Sam, it's Sam Chaplin, my good friend and wonderful pal, my OTP.
Hello.
Sam, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm excited about Cinema Swirl.
Cinema Swirl?
Yeah.
I think we literally just came up with a name for it.
It's a good name.
Like 20 minutes before we started this.
Yeah.
Before it was going to be called I've Not Seen Any Films, Mate.
Yeah.
And we can both agree that Cinema Swirl rolls off the tongue.
It's a lovely name. It doesn't sell what the... I shouldn't.
No, go on. No, you might as well get the grievances out now. Like.
It doesn't necessarily sell the
goods.
The idea of the show, but it sounds so good that we can't not use it.
What I like to think of it as it's like a trap.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, oh, that's a nice name on iTunes. Then like we throw a net on you, like, it's actually about this. And
once you started listening, it's too late at that point.
General gist of the podcast is as follows. Sam and I have been long-time close personal friends for many years.
That's true.
And in that time, we've spent a good deal of it arguing. Mm-hmm. But one of the main things I get at you...
No, we haven't, Kevin.
Hey, there you go. Hey. Well, one of the main bones of contention in the relationship, the friendship, has been... Well, one of the main strain points for this partnership has always been the fact that you've seen, like, literally nothing.
None of the films. The big films.
And we do say films, but I mean, this extends to, like all things that I would associate with childhood, you've not been...
They're gone, yeah.
You've not been witness to. And I've always found that strange because... Yeah. You know, you and I became friends because you do stand-up comedy,
yes.
As do I, and you've got a very similar sense of humour,
mm-hmm.
and I would always have thought that one sense of humour comes from what you watch and experience growing up.
Popular culture.
Take it in,
yeah.
But from my point of view, you grew up with your fingers in your ears in a cave in Nottingham.
Yeah, but well, I think that's... I'm worried because we were talking about the case is that either I just haven't seen any of these films,
mm-hmm.
or that I have seen the films,
but you've seen them wrong.
But I've either forgotten or had to repress some memory in the past that was
linked to them somehow.
Yeah.
Well, like,
so the films have been buried.
Well, I can understand where you're coming from a certain extent because, like, I briefly did a film review show when I was in university with a guy who really knew his films, and I hadn't seen, like, all the classic, critically acclaimed grown-up movies. Like, I hadn't seen The Godfather or The Usual Suspects or Requiem for a Dream or, like, all these, like, you know, proper movies.
All films I've not seen.
But the thing is, right, you've not seen those.
No.
But you've not seen Star Wars.
True.
Lord of the Rings.
I've seen the second Lord of the Rings film.
Why would you see it?
but none of the others.
You were just in the cinema going, mate, what's going on here?
Yeah,
establish the plot.
I didn't know what was happening.
Mate, why didn't they say previously on AMC's Lord of the Rings at the start of this? You've not seen Back to the Future?
No, none of them.
Have you seen Indiana Jones?
I've seen the one with Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, for fuck's sake! God!
Yeah, and Kate Blanchett is an angry Russian lady, I think.
She is sexy
sexy in that movie. She crushes something with her thighs.
Mate, she can knock down my Berlin Wall. Hey.
Yeah.
Am I right?
I've seen that film.
I'm not wrong, like.
That was a dreadful film.
It was a dreadful film. Ghostbusters.
Nope.
Fucking hell.
No.
Now, like, you're not the first person who I've known who's had this affliction. Like my friend in Aberdeen, she's not seen like a lot of films like this as well. But I don't want to be offensive to you, but she's not seen them but carries herself in a much more convincing manner as a result.
Okay.
As in, she's kind of like, I've not seen Back to the Future, so what? Like, and that's like, but for you, you know it's wrong almost.
There is shame there, yeah.
And I mean, like, Can you like think of examples then? Like, because I mean, you've not played on most video games growing up as well.
No,
like.
there's some serious gaps there as well.
Like, were you a Nintendo kid growing up?
I was a Sonic boy.
Yeah.
As a child, didn't have the Nintendo systems. We had Sega, but even some of the big sort of PlayStation 1 games and things like that later childhood.
Yeah.
I sort of remember them, but only because my older brother would play them, and
And is this like a thing in the family then? Because like, does your brother, Dr. Chaplin?
Yeah, which was a funny name to give a child.
Hey!
Bit of the stand-up sneaking in there.
Dr. Jack Chaplin.
Yeah.
Is he of the same ilk as you then?
Not at all. He's, in terms of films and video games, culturally
switched on, like
pretty switched on.
He's in the mainframe, like
yeah.
And has there been times when you were like growing up, or was there a point where you realised? Because I likened it to someone with a strange fetish when they realise they're not the same as everyone else and that there's something wrong with them. Not to say something wrong with them, but as in that there's something different or peculiar about them.
Had that too.
Mate, we've all had that.
Yeah.
Like, but I mean, was there like a breaking point or an obvious kind of? Well, obviously, there's I've missed out a large chunk of the required reading for the course. That is humanity.
I think it came later than it should have done, because an important thing to note is that I was a media student.
Fucking hell.
Both at college and at university.
And you managed to somehow miss.
At college, I think it was okay, because at that point everyone's trying to be like, I prefer Tarantino movies and Wes Anderson and things like that.
Oh, because I'm so...
and I've seen those,
Mate, I don't know. A couple of us have...
some of us have seen those.
Some of us have seen a little movie called The Royal Tenenbaums. Not very many people in the cinema. They probably wouldn't show it in the likes of the cinemas you go to. They don't sell popcorn at the Royal Tenenbaums, mate.
No, it's fine. I just don't think you understood Fight Club. Those sorts of discussions were had, and that was fine. I could breeze by. I think it's when I got to university, and it was not through conversations with media students who should know about films and probably did. It's through people like you.
Because I don't want to be like I keep telling myself
it's mostly you.
Yeah, all right. Because I was like, oh, it's like society is on Sam, and there's this expectation, but it's in reality, it's an Irish giant with a beard going, "Why have you not seen this? Why have you not seen those films over there?"
There's been instances where, in conversations with other people, we'll be talking about a movie, and I'll say, "Oh, I haven't seen this." You haven't seen, Star Wars, you're Indiana Jones. But I've had more of those conversations with you than anyone else, and it's still the same level of shock and surprise. I think you've resigned to it now. You understand.
I think Kevin's bad short-term memory is probably has greatly exacerbated this problem.
Yeah.
In the fact that I'm constantly forget, and then I'm reminded, and then re-outraged. Yeah. Like, I'm a microwavable meal that's been, heated up a few times in this regard. Like, but, I mean, the one thing I should point out, that I've noticed anyway, is that I know a lot of people maybe who've not watched a lot of the big Hollywood blockbusters, but in response they've watched like a lot of like expressionist movies or art house films or independent cinema. Now you've basically just watched Wes Anderson's movies.
I think that's true. It doesn't.
And
I've not compensated well.
What's that stand-up lad you watch? Lee Mack, is it, or
Lee Mack DVDs?
Yeah,
arguably movies. They're feature length.
So yeah, it's as if you've filled in the gap, so to speak, with other.
No,
because I mean, some could argue that would be something to lust after, to be like, well, I've not seen your Star Wars, mate, but I have seen,
set you in good stead. You'd have a unique personality.
Honest question, then. Yeah. What did you do as a kid, because my dad used to always take me to the cinema. It was like the thing.
I've been to the cinema.
But what did you see? Because you haven't seen Batman, have you? Like the original Batman?
I have, but that was later on.
Right, okay.
Yeah, that was... And that only because I had to.
Was it for school? Was it?
It was.
Oh my God!
For music, we were looking at movie scores, and Batman was the
movie du jour.
What's the word? The case study.
The case study.
It was the case study was Batman, the Tim Burton Batman.
So I'm not one to look down at what someone did in school, but
So I wasn't watching.
I was listening. I'm over here dissecting rats, and Sam's like, "Oh, I've got a very important Batman film to watch." And I'm like, "Sam, turn off that bloody TV and do your homework." Mum, it is homework. I've got to watch Bruce Wayne. Okay, so we decided for the first episode of Cinema Swirl to go a big one.
Straight off the bat,
Go whole hog,
yeah.
Which is Star Wars: A New Hope, aka Star Wars 1. Part 1.
You'd hope so, wouldn't you? But
hey.
They've jigged him about, haven't they?
Well, I thought that if we started with episode 1, that's not exactly a Hollywood classic.
No, and I think I have seen that. I seem to remember going to the cinema to see either episode 1 or episode 2.
I think if you wanted to get in, if you wanted to take,
that's the wrong place to start.
It's the wrong place to start.
It seems logical, but it's really not.
So just so you know, Lord of the Rings and Star Wars, arguably the two biggest kind of geek culture franchises. You've seen the second Lord of the Rings with no context, and you've seen Star Wars Episode 1. You think?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're off to a fucking roaring start. So I think, all right, we should maybe set some ground rules for all of these. It's got to be a movie, obviously, that you've never seen for definite.
Yeah.
And it's got to be a movie which can be arguably it's a Hollywood classic. So we're not going to pick one that was kind of oh, it's a bit of a cult classic. We're there have to be ones that were break the bank. Everyone is oh, do you remember this movie? And Rubik's Cubes.
Yeah, it should be something that most people have seen.
Yeah.
And that I'm the exception.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're not, and we won't have to search hard for these movies.
No, this would be very easy. So, Star Wars.
Yep.
I suppose I could say Star Wars, big part of my childhood growing up. Not for you.
No.
I would say I have around 150 Star Wars toys. Just because I got into Star Wars when I was 6. And I stayed with Star Wars right until I was around 16, basically. So we basically had a decade of non-stop fandom.
Why did you drop out? Is it?
It was the new films. I wasn't one of these people who was George Lucas raped me. He didn't. He actually didn't. He made a film. Get over it. How dare he make a film? I didn't like it. I guess this is what sexual assault is like, but it's not though, is it?
No, not at all.
I just got drifted out of it. It wasn't with a big bang,
But it's still kind of part of...
It's kind of sad, it was part of growing up, I suppose.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, it was a big part of my childhood. Games, toys, books. The biggest books I read as a kid were Star Wars books.
Novelizations?
Expanded universe and really small print and all this kind of stuff. Actually, funny story, one of my favourite books when I grew up as a kid, I was maybe 7 when I read it, which was Tales of the Bounty Hunters, which was a big fucking short story collection.
Okay.
And very small print, 700 pages, at least 10,000 pages, roughly.
Right.
And my teacher saw me used to constantly take it out and read a bit of it in class. And this will show you how solid my upbringing was. My teacher was incensed that I had such a big book and then demanded in front of the class that I read the entire book before the next week was finished, or else I would get in trouble. So I was then forced to read this book.
What kind of...
Catholicism,
Yeah. Smoke all of those cigarettes, that'll show you.
Yeah.
Read all of those words.
They could have just singed my curiosity nodes, I suppose. They crushed my spirit the old-fashioned way. But yeah, so for me, Star Wars is a big part of childhood.
Yeah.
I can't imagine my childhood without Star Wars. When you were a kid, I assume you talked to some of the other kids in the playground.
You that would be right. Yeah, I talked to some of them.
Well, when you would have been 7 or 8, the anniversary editions came out and they were brought back into the cinema and all that. So I know everyone got Star Wars mad in the late 90s again. Do you have any memories from when you were a kid of people coming up to you and be like, "Oh, have you seen Star Wars?" Or people playing Star Wars, or having Star Wars toys, stories of exclusion?
The stories of exclusion not necessarily related to Star Wars. That's a big part of childhood. I didn't need Star Wars to be excluded.
You were a little prick when you were a kid, weren't you?
I was a little prick when I was a kid. I've grown up into a big prick.
Into a big prick, so let's not get the wrong idea here. But did you knew about Star Wars?
I knew about Star Wars. I knew what it was,
and no curiosity.
Not really. No. It would have been difficult to seek out those. No, it wouldn't really.
It wouldn't have got go to the cinema.
Yeah.
Go on
and
VHS.
they were out, weren't they?
They were.
I remember Pokemon and yo-yos. Big into them.
Yeah.
Big into them. So
that's very. So you
I
never
would have had things to talk about with the kids if the kids had.
If they wanted to give you the chance, like.
Yeah.
So never at any point, even then when you're growing into teenhood and all these new Star Wars movies came out, and again, because I mean, now these days I don't have a TV. You know, I mean, it's easy to avoid advertising these days, I think, if you're like a grown-up, because you have ad block and you just use, you stream all your media or whatever.
Back then,
though,
been punching
you're in
face.
front of that TV 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you must have had serious urge to resist all that powerful advertising.
Well, I went to see, as we said, the
first one.
Well, the
fourth. The fourth one.
The fourth.
And that's great, because the one we're actually reviewing, which is the first one, is technically the fourth one.
Yeah.
But you saw the first one, which is actually the fourth one.
Correct. Yes, officer. Yeah, I did. I think that was a case of, the other kids are going to see it as a social event. I'll go along. Enjoyed it. It wasn't ruined by how bad it was compared to the other ones, you said.
Because you hadn't seen the other ones.
Didn't know.
So objectively...
So I probably enjoyed Star Wars Episode 1 more than a lot of people.
You probably enjoyed it more than me.
Yeah, because I didn't have the hopes. I didn't have...
Because you got to understand, for us other Star Wars kids, they fucking released the toys for this movie, a year before it came out. So they released... I know.
Strange move.
They released a bunch of toys, and they was just from the concept art, the battle droids and all that stuff. So here I was with a couple of these fucking Episode 1 guys, and I've already got my stories made up in my head of how they're going to be.
Oh.
So, you want to, find a way to make a kid get disappointed. It's you give them the players and the pieces, and then you're like, yeah, but don't worry, we're going to fuck it up for you real good, mate. So, I'm going to ask you a very bold question now. Ballpark here. Because you've probably picked up scraps over the years, I imagine.
Okay, yeah.
Scrap chaplain,
That's what they call me.
Catching bits of movie trivia from the big boys table. What do you think Star Wars is about, then? Name characters you know.
Okay.
Or
So Luke Skywalker,
Yeah.
main guy.
Yeah.
Princess Leia.
Yeah. Don't say main girl.
Main girl one.
Main girl!
I'm just being silly. So Luke's main one. Princess Leia.
Yeah.
Now I know that they're romantic but related. That's been relayed to me.
Yeah, the internet has probably had a go at that.
And the thing is that parts of this culture will come out in other things that I've seen. So, The Simpsons is the thing that has made me pick up all sorts of scraps of popular culture. Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, Han Solo. I don't know what his role is.
What do you reckon he is? Because he's Harrison Ford,
I know he's important.
Yeah.
And that he's one that everyone goes on about. I don't know who he is.
What do you mean goes on about,
Han. Han shot first. I know he shot first. Aside from that, I don't know what else Han did.
Well, he shot first, though, didn't he?
He shot first.
He's a spokesperson for premature ejaculators everywhere, mate. Whoa!
Han shot first. Don't know much else about the man.
Mm-hmm. Who did Han shoot?
I don't know. But I know that he was the first one.
Right. Do you think it's a metaphorical shot, or do you think he actually just shot someone?
Well, whoever else was shooting is in trouble. If Han shot first, he's done him there. Han shot first. C-3PO, R2-D2.
Mm-hmm.
Big robot, little robot. Little upside down bin of a robot.
Yeah.
Beep boop boop.
Beep boop boop.
Beep boop boop.
Which one does beep boop boop?
R2-D2.
Wow, you've got some.
I've got some knowledge that you pick up. But they're in the later films as well, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh yeah, you would have seen them in Episode 1. Do you know any of the baddies?
Darth Vader.
I really was hoping you would say Dark Vader. Like you're my dad or something.
Yeah, Dark Vader.
That Dark Vader, that rotter.
Yeah, Darth Vader. And then he had an army of... Did he have the stormtroopers?
Yeah.
Right.
Do you know who they are, those guys then? What their deal is, or hazard a guess?
Death Star.
Team Death Star.
Team Death Star.
Yeah.
Team hand shot first. There's going to be a fight.
Mate, it's been building up to this, Team hand shot first, you got to get their money's worth.
It's a tale as old as time.
It's
the
time
Death
itself.
Stars, the hands. Who else is there? Chewbacca, who's a Wookiee.
Wow, look at that.
The Ewoks.
Yeah,
who sing.
Or
dance.
Sing or dance.
They're entertaining. The Ewoks.
They're the comedy relief.
There's a bit where there's Ewoks. And that I know from Spaced.
Yeah.
From watching Spaced.
Oh, of course, you watch Spaced. There's a lot of Star Wars in there.
A lot of Star Wars in there. So that's things like the disappointment in episode 1.
Yeah, of course.
That's really...
You got it from there.
Made clear.
Simon Pegg made it clear that you're not allowed to enjoy that film.
Yeah, he did.
I'm sorry, I've got a goatee. You can't enjoy yourself.
Lightsaber.
What's a lightsaber?
Big light sword.
Light
sword of light. Laser. Okay. Laser light.
Do you know who uses the lightsaber?
Well, that's what they fight with, isn't it?
Who?
Luke. Luke's got a saber.
Luke's got a saber.
Darth.
Sabretooth has got a saber.
He's got laser teeth. Darth Vader's probably got a saber.
Yeah.
Luke's got a saber. The red one from episode 1's got a double saber.
The red one?
Darth Maul.
There you go.
Darth Maul, Peter Serafinowicz.
You know what I know about Darth Maul? If you bit into him, he'd be very spicy, wouldn't he?
He's got the spicy
He looks very...
spicy man.
Like, if you're going to have Darth Maul, make sure you take the seeds out first, like, you know? Because he looks like a proper... Woof. Yeah. Okay, any kind of... Before we, like, go off and watch the movie, any kind of, like, questions you might have about the movie or, like, long kind of queries as in, like, what is the whole deal with this, or...
Well, all I know is, like, there's the good characters and the bad characters.
So you don't know why they're fighting?
No.
Right.
And I don't know who Han is, or what his deal is.
Or what his deal
is. And I'm excited to find out Han's deal.
Yeah,
Han Solo.
Han Solo. Do you think you're going to have a kindred spirit in
I hope so.
In Harrison Solo, like?
Yeah.
I mean, are you a Harrison Ford fan, like?
Well, I would be if I'd seen the movies he's in.
Have you seen any film with Harrison Ford in it? Bar Indiana Jones 4. Jesus.
Off the top of my head, I can't...
You've not seen Blade Runner?
Not seen Blade Runner, that's another one.
Sake.
That's an organic example of the reaction. That's a natural...
That 10 seconds there is basically our friendship summed up, basically. Right. Well, we're going to go do a Cinema Swirl now. So me and Sam are going to go watch Star Wars Episode 4. It's just the version I have on Blu-ray. So, like, if anyone's like, oh...
Whoa.
We have to watch the original version.
Isn't there some controversy about...
Mate, the controversy is I've got a Blu-ray player and a copy of Star Wars on Blu-ray. Like that's it. Like there's the controversy right here. Like if you're going to be incensed by the fact we're watching it on Blu-ray, listener, like just fucking turn off. Like,
is there not some digital? Is he not? Oh, I didn't mention Yoda. Is Yoda not digital in these?
Well, you know. All right. Sorry, we should probably mention before.
I know Yoda from the Vodafone adverts. Yodaphone. I don't. I'm just being facetious.
Yodaphone. Wait,
they never said.
They didn't even call it Yodaphone.
No, and I don't know. I assume that's why they had Yoda in the Vodafone adverts, so that people would go Yodaphone.
Do you think there was like a clause in the contract saying that you couldn't make a pun?
You can't say Yodaphone. You can just imply it.
You can imply Yoda and Vodafone, like
and hopefully people will put it together. But I don't think many people have.
Yeah, no, the version which we'll watch has got some like. Has got a lot of tinkering.
Okay.
So maybe something to keep your eyes open for is the fact that this is a movie which originally came out in the 70s. And, you know, like an aging Hollywood beauty that's had a nip and a tuck too many, see if you can notice some less than seamless
special effects.
Like, you know when you see like a classical beauty, like, you know, Marilyn Monroe or whatever in her older years, but wait, that's a bad example, she died, so
she didn't have older.
Trying to think of someone like Sharon Stone, a classical Hollywood beauty, and you know that she's accidentally got like an extra nose where her ear's meant to be or something. You might get a few of these instances when we're watching Airbrushed out, mate, exactly.
Yeah. I was struggling to remember the theme tune from Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, we thought it'd be hilarious because you were struggling greatly, and then just before we sat down, you remembered it with us ruining the fun.
Yeah, but I went to, my first guess was... This is very early in the morning. That's not Star Wars.
Nature Boy Han Solo. Like,
I went to the Universal Pictures theme at one point.
And then you were veering very close to Superman as well at another point.
Yeah.
And then Indiana Jones as well. Yeah. Mate, it's all the same, isn't it? Like, so.
It's all the same bloke.
Are you looking forward to watching some Hollywood classic right now?
Very excited about Star Wars.
Do you think that by watching all these movies, you'll like be like a proper grown-up adult and all your problems will go away?
That's the hope. That's why I agreed to do this podcast. I'm hoping it's going to fix me, but I think this is the wrong way to watch these
Lights will
films.
guide you home, and I will try to fix you for watching Star Wars.
With Cinema Swirl.
With Cinema Swirl. Let's go watch it. Welcome back to Cinema Swirl. We've just after spending a nice, lovely Saturday afternoon watching Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. Watched it on the Blu-ray. I'll put up on the big screen. First and foremost, I should say, spending an afternoon watching Star Wars, ate a load of biscuits, drank a load of tea. I'm in a good place spiritually right now, I can just say.
Good company, good film, good biscuits.
Good company, like, subjective really, isn't it? Like,
Good film, good biscuits.
You know, company. There was people there.
Yeah.
You know, that's all we can really say. Okay, I suppose the first thing we could probably do, immediate initial gut reaction, because you've literally just seen it 5 seconds ago. So, you know, what's the main reaction here?
I'm happy.
You're happy?
I'm very happy. I feel
Really?
Yeah, it felt... it's nice.
It's a nice film, Star
It's a
Wars.
nice film, and I was worried watching it now, as opposed to during my childhood, I wouldn't get the right feeling afterwards. It would be
Right,
like,
yeah.
I've watched Star Wars, but I've not been emotionally into it as much as I would.
Well, what I would say to you, is, what I was impressed while you were watching it,
Yeah.
was that you gave it a good chance. You weren't sitting there with your arms folded going,
I'm not.
oh, they're in space. Can someone explain that, please? Like, for instance, I was watching Seinfeld with a friend recently, and they were picking apart the logic. Like,
Yeah.
how are they in the cafe now? You know, as in, like, you know, people, when they watch something, they're like, have an axe to grind immediately.
Yeah.
So kudos for you on that front.
With Star Wars, I think there's so much to back the idea that it's a good film.
Yeah.
That I can't really go into it cynical, like, well, I've heard bad things.
I've heard mixed reviews.
Yeah. I've heard
Metacritic has been anything but favourable.
Yeah, it's overwhelmingly positive. So
Okay, well, that's
yeah.
good. That's good off the bat, like.
I went into it wanting to like it
Yeah.
because I know I'll be left out because that's happened before.
This was a massive inclusion thing for you, this whole
Yeah,
affair.
definitely.
Well, I will say off the bat, I was taking note of instances where you laughed at moments in the film which you weren't meant to laugh at.
Okay, so it's not primarily a comedy.
No, it's not,
No.
but it got belly laughs from you.
Oh, there were some funny moments.
There's a couple of them dotted off around the way. I mean, starting the movie, obviously, first one was R2-D2 being sucked up by that big vacuum cleaner gimmick.
The big vacuum magnet.
Yeah.
That was just funny. That's just a funny image.
I think so, yeah. I mean, R2 and C-3PO seem to be... You were fond of them?
Well, I noted down immediately that C-3PO, that's a character I can identify with an awful lot.
In what regard?
Well, I do, in my personal life, say things like, will this never end?
I can attest to that, actually. When you and I are in Edinburgh, I think you actually said to me
Will
once,
this never
will
end?"
this never end?
Yeah, he's something of a pessimist, but also very polite.
There's something a
bit
bit like
anxious.
Maybe it's English, isn't it? That's your
he's a
line.
very British character.
Yeah.
I can identify with that. Straight off the bat, the very start of the film, we had the big scrolly text,
Which is,
And,
that's
been parodied and referenced.
So you knew the text was coming.
I knew that was coming. Fair enough. You know,
Have you text?
it's back then. It's the equivalent of a YouTube description. You know, just something you need
At the end,
to understand.
George Lucas, like, comment, subscribe.
Like, before it scrolls, you need like an asterisk and then read description first.
Yeah,
and then
exactly,
another
yeah.
asterisk. You need this information.
You know, links to the other movies in the description. Like, you know.
Yeah, I put down. I came to watch a movie, not read a book. But it was.
Well, no, in fairness, you're right, because, I mean, I'm telling you here, Saturday afternoon, we're about to watch a romp, and what comes up, a big bloody subtitle, mate. Like, that's the biggest subtitle I'd ever seen. Like, that's a bit much.
Yeah, and it's not easy. It's not an easy format for reading, but it's scrolling up and going away.
I mean, like, how was it the speed okay for you?
The speed was, I think, almost too slow. It's not, I don't want to brag.
Because you know what I would used to do here?
I'm a fast reader.
I am a fast reader as well. What I used to do is, because it's very forgettable text, you let it scroll a little bit and then go, I wonder if I could read it from all the top.
And then it's
again.
gone.
And then I realise we both have glasses and probably are pretty, like, fucking impaired eyesight-wise, so it's not advisable.
No.
So yeah, a hot start then anyway to the film.
Yeah, I mean, a YouTube description you can check back at any time during it would have been better.
I think so.
Sure. That's basically the back of the DVD blurb. That's what that is. At any point you can go, oh yeah, Rebel.
A rave, says the Daily Mirror. 4 stars,
Yeah, a long time ago, and it took place ages ago.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because it seems...
Well, obviously it took place ages ago because of all the vector graphics and all the computers, mate.
Yeah, that's, there's the sort of VHS grain on some of the screens.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
It was a long time ago.
It's in the past.
Yeah, it's happened. Probably should mention it off the bat because this ran out through the entire film. And you didn't so much laugh at this as sigh deeply. And I didn't ever figure you as someone like this because, Adam, who from Attitude Podcast, big into his cinematography, big into all that. So if there's ever kind of gaffes on that end of things or the editing, you always get very angsty about it. But I think you very much straight away, the wipes. It took me out of so many moments. George Lucas's daughter has only got ice cream all over her face. Take out the wipes, yeah?
Yeah, well, they should have taken out the wipes because
for fuck's sakes.
I don't know. I know that's like a hallmark of Star Wars.
Just because it's a hallmark doesn't mean it has. But it's shit. Like it is.
Yeah, it kept making me sort of either sigh or laugh, and there's quite emotional moments or important moments where it's like there's like a wipe afterwards, and I didn't enjoy.
At least they didn't star wipe. It did make the whole thing seem like a PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah,
and there were moments as well where it's characters saying, "Hey, look, we better get going now." Like when they're picking up C-3PO after he gets jobbed out by the Tusken Raiders. The Sand People, sorry. I have to be politically correct. The term is Sand people, not Tusken Raiders, alright? But they're like, oh, come on, get up C-3PO. And they pick him up, and as they do, the wipe goes up. And it's like, whoa! It's like Mario Paint or something. I like that.
Yeah. Has George Lucas made films before this?
He had made...
what's he made?
He made THX 138. He had made American Graffiti.
Okay.
I mean, that
I've not seen films.
Seeing those movies doesn't exactly excuse him from the heavy use of wipes in this.
I mean, do you like the wipes?
I don't... Honestly...
You're not distracted by the wipes?
I've never been distracted by, like... stuff like that. You guys did media degrees. That's your fucking failing, like. But, if you show me an inaccurately described process of evolution, mate, I'll be up there with the rest of them. Shaking my face, shaking my fist,
shaking
my face. No.
Well, we started out with a big game of Quasar.
Quasar. Mate, it was too light to be Quasar.
It was dramatic Quasar. That took me back to my childhood, or ducking and diving,
seeing everyone's dandruff and
shooting lasers
under the blue lights.
Yeah, exactly. What's the certificate of Star Wars?
Oh, it's a PG. I think actually it might even be you.
You don't see dying. Well, you do, but you...
There's a couple of graphic moments.
Are there?
Well, your lad's arm gets chopped off in the canteen.
Oh yeah, no, that's a bit...
There was blood.
That's a bit grim.
And then his uncle and aunt got turned into skeletons as well.
They did.
Yeah.
They did. And the uncle and aunt... Aunt Peru.
And
Uncle Ben. Not called Ben, but I just...
Uncle Ben!
Uncle Ben. From like Spider-Man,
Well, like, he was kind of like Uncle Ben, the fact that he was like... He wasn't so much with great power comes great responsibility. It's like, there's a great amount of work and I greatly want you to do it all now. Because I'm a rotter.
Stay another season. Won't you stay another season, Luke? Won't you?
Mate, what is he? Is he the producer for the guys who... Oh, shit, I'm trying to think of a series that went on to... an executive at Fox to Matt Groening.
Yeah.
Stay another season.
Matt, won't you stay?
But I want to go and make other shows. But
stay another season.
Fall season's when I need you the most, Matt,
Now, I developed a theory about C-3PO and R2-D2 early on,
right?
Which I don't think now is the case. But I like to imagine early on that C-3PO doesn't actually know what R2 is saying. And he's like talking to him like you talk to a cat when it meows at you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, like people, I know, but blah blah blah. Blah it's him doing all the knowing stuff.
It's
and R2's just beeping
around, like
just beeping around.
I think there's credence in that.
Yeah, it's a nice idea.
That's a nice idea.
One of those wild theories.
Mate, you should be on Tumblr.
I should be on Tumblr. It will completely change your watching of Star Wars if you just imagine that a lot of it's in C-3PO's head.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And I think we introduced to Darth quite early on.
Darth is in the Quasar scene. We get
he's in the Quasar scene.
Yeah, Dark Laser.
Dark Laser.
Dark Laser. He's a proper baddie. Isn't he?
I've written here the original Bane.
That's true.
Because you get the voice.
I mean, that was strange because you knew who Darth Vader was.
I knew who Darth Vader was. I knew the voice. I knew the.
Did he live up? Did he live up to your? Kuka. Did he live up to your expectations as a big old nasty villain? Like,
well, he's in A New Hope.
A New Hope.
A New Hope. He doesn't seem like the main baddie.
Yeah.
You've got Tywin Lannister.
Oh, Grand Moff Tarkin, yeah.
Tywin Lannister.
He is so like Tywin Lannister. I think actually this might be the first podcast recorded ever where someone has retrospectively kind of like is watching Star Wars and goes, "Oh, that's just like Game of Thrones, man."
Yeah,
I'm 40 years after the fact.
Also, there's two C-3POs at the start. There's two like one just goes.
Well, basically, it's a brand of droid. Basically,
okay.
So C-3PO is kind of like an iPhone, and the R2 is kind of like
he's an android.
An android.
Yeah,
so there's all different versions of him out there.
Okay.
And some lad will unlock him for you at a car boot sale if you ask him nicely. So you know.
But I loved Aunt Peru because she reminded me of there's a bit where she says, Luke, get your uncle. And if you change Luke for Link, it's the start of most
Zelda games. Yeah.
So, go and get your uncle, and then he'll tell you what's what.
Speaking of which, another time when you just laughed massively, with the biggest laugh of the whole film, was when Luke is asked to do his chores.
Yeah,
you just thought it was so funny.
He's a grown man, and it's just like...
It is ambiguous what age he is.
How old is he?
Well, like, I think he's meant to be, like, 17.
He doesn't look it.
But he's a man.
That's a man.
He's a man-ass man.
He's a man-ass man.
You know, yeah.
And he's been told to do his chores by his Uncle Ben.
Well, like, I can empathise because, like, you know, I'm going back home to the parents soon enough, right? And I'm fucking 26. But I know I'll be asked to empty the dishwasher.
Yeah. Because,
like, chores, mate. Like, you know? So, Luke, I understand your pain.
But it was just funny to me that this grown man...
R2's whistling as well got a lot of guffaws early on.
What, just his beeping?
Yeah, just something go.
Well, there's a scene where C-3PO. I love C-3PO and R2-D2. The interplay between them is very cute.
It is.
They're an OTP.
Oh, definitely. I'll fucking Tumblr over
adorable.
Here. Hashtag Sam Chaplin.
C-3PO gets a bit annoyed, storms off, but really, you know.
Yeah.
There is a scene where C-3PO says, "If you take my meaning, sir," and R2 goes, like that. And always like, matron, like that. It's so.
So you're kind of
so camp.
If R2-D2 had the means to remove a little bowler hat and go like,
wiggling his glasses.
That's a robot that needs eyebrows. Is all I'm saying.
He does,
you know?
but he can convey emotion. I know, skipping weirdly to the end, he looks so happy for something that's just a bin.
Yeah, they do a good job on it.
Yeah, you can tell when he's all right. We're introduced to Princess Leia.
Princess Leon.
We're introduced to her in the big scrolly text.
Yeah.
She got the plans. She could take the plans. Rebel. Blow up Death Star.
It's good that you knew that. Plot. We got our plot.
She shows up in a futuristic Vine video. Just a 6-second loop.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. There should have been a backing guitar, like make it kind of Reggie Watts. Did you notice early on when you see her skulking around, she has her little gun A pistol for her.
Pistol for her. She's
was how I named after Bridget Christie's amazing show. It was an insultingly feminine weapon that she had.
It was like a little skinny, long.
Like it's meant to fit. It's meant to fit in a handbag or something. Like it was deeply offensive.
The boys have got their boy guns.
Yeah, definitely.
And Leah's got her.
Which she never even fucking uses.
No, it's just for show.
Just for show.
Just for show. Women, eh? And who are the Sand People?
The Sand People are like basically savages that live on the desert planet Tatooine.
Okay, so they're just pests. They're not a big deal.
They're like, they're kind of like, well, they're a hassle.
Rogues.
Brigands, ruffians, savages.
Right. So they're not like a big plot point. They're just kind of
there to fuck shit up.
Fuck shit up early on.
And make noises.
And have a reason for...
Which you laughed at so fucking much when it's like, the sand people. You're like, ah! And then they're like, and you just thought it was the greatest, like...
Yeah, I enjoyed. I asked if they were Ewoks.
No, those were Jawas.
Was it that were Jawas?
The Jawas, the little lads. You were like, oh, those Ewoks.
They're not sand people.
No. Jawas and sand people are different. Sand people are the guys with the little gas mask.
Who are the Jawas?
The Jawas are the dudes with the shiny eyes who nick their robots at the start.
So why are they nicking robots?
Because they sell them, basically.
Oh, okay. Oh, they're taking them to sell, and then the sand people are just coming to
fuck shit up.
Yeah. And then we're introduced to the real Ben Kenobi. It takes Luke a long time to. The signs are there that
it's him.
His uncle Ben. Looking for an Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
But that can't be you. Do you know him? Is he a relative of yours?
When he reveals his name and he goes, Obi-Wan Kenobi,
yep.
You lost your shit.
Did I?
You did.
I did. I must have done.
Most lines of dialogue that Alec Guinness reveals were a big laughing point for you.
There's a reason for that, because as I've done before, referencing Tywin Lannister.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, he's Jorah Mormont.
Well, I said Barristan Selmy when he appears.
He looks like
Barristan
Selmy.
Because when he takes off his hood and he's like, I'm Barristan Selmy, my lady.
Yeah, but he sounds like Jorah Mormont. Every line that Alec Guinness delivers, if you put
Khaleesi
it works perfectly.
No, he's right, because these, for example, he's like, this blaster fire is far too accurate for sand people, Khaleesi. This is the work of Imperial gods.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, so you can see how a lot of Star Wars stuff has probably influenced.
And in fairness, Luke Skywalker, pretty, blonde, feminine. He's got a Daenerys quality to him, I think.
He does. He does, yeah, like a young...
Just living up to a legacy and all that, yeah.
Exactly, he does.
And, Alec Guinness clearly wants his dick in there, Obi-Wan,
That's something you have to read into it.
I think so, yeah.
It's not clear as day.
Do your business, Tumblr. That's all I'm saying, like.
Obi-Wan Kenobi mentions the Clone Wars.
Yes.
This is something I forgot to mention.
Oh, no!
But
have you seen the TV show?
No, but I've seen... The film was... The film Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
So not Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, not the actual proper film, the animated.
The animated picture, Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
How did you end up seeing that in the cinema?
Again, it's some friends, some Star Wars fans, going to it, and even before they'd seen it, knowing that
it was going to be
bad.
I went to see it knowing that it was going to be shit.
And oh boy, was it bad!
Fucking
and rubbish. I didn't have, like we mentioned the episode 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
That I didn't have the feeling that, a legacy was being tarnished. I had that with Clone Wars, even though I just...
So, as someone who had only seen episode 1, watching Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the movie, you felt the legacy was being tarnished.
It was being tarnished so much I could feel it on behalf of other people. I could feel their childhood being
The only thing about that movie which I remember, because I blocked it most from my mind... is
a funny movie.
The Hut. I think it's a Zorba Hut where he's like, oh, thank you, Jabba. Oh, I do declare.
It's got none of the voice actors apart from Samuel L. Jackson, who shows up for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
He just says like a couple of lines and then clears off. Very funny lines in that film that I remember clearly. There's a big defense shield and Obi-Wan says, that defense shield has put a crimp in my day. Like,
that's awful. You know, the only way that dialogue is possible is that if it was written in another language and then translated back into English and lost its meaning along the way, and that word is just not appropriate. Like, there's no analog for that word in English that they used in like Taiwanese or wherever it came from.
Put a crimp in my day.
Oh, that's put a crimp in my day.
He has a fight with a lady. She falls over or something, and he says, "Shall we continue, my darling?" And then they continue fighting.
What a fucking what a sexist
He's
pig,
a creep.
isn't it?
Bucket of bolts.
That's used all the time in Star Wars.
Bucket of bolts is like a...
Yeah.
Okay.
I think actually C-3PO calls R2 a bucket of bolts in this
Bucket of
film.
bolts.
But yeah.
Bucket of bolts.
Bucket of bolts.
I'm happy with. I like that. Anyway, Obi-Wan's mentioning of the Clone Wars
just
triggered that memory to
and it's
come
such
back.
a throwaway line in the first movie, and now it's like it's spawned this ridiculous, like, large thing. Like, ugh.
Oh, man.
Oh, and that point as well, C-3PO offered to power down, which you also found hysterically funny. Like,
Oh, yeah, he's like, I'm just going to duck out of this conversation.
I'm not necessary, but there's not a good enough reason for me to take off, so...
I can just shut up for a bit if you want. Yeah, sure.
Here, mate, I wish you had a shut-off switch.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
But it's the fact that Luke's not like, oh, no, it's all right, you don't need to do that.
He's
like, yeah.
It's probably the best name. Like,
The Force is introduced...
the Force is introduced, when he meets Ben, yeah.
Yeah, it seems a bit like mumbo jumbo,
Vague,
bit vague.
Sorcerer's ways.
They try and that was another a laugh line, but the introduction of it is kind of sci-fi logic where it's just like it exists. There you go. It's basically magic, isn't it?
You didn't know what the Force was then before the movie.
Well, I knew like may the Force be with you. Use the Force.
It's a convenient plot point, the Force, because they're quite vague about it in the early movies. Just like, here it is. Like,
Do later on they explain?
In
what
excruciating detail.
In too much detail.
Yeah,
because I'd be happy to accept the Force's magic. Basically.
Yeah, but the Force is actually caused by microorganisms. I know that just ruins it, doesn't it? And I love science, but you don't want to science up the Force. No, come on.
So Uncle Ben, not Uncle Ben. But Uncle whatever his name is. Husband of Aunt Peru.
Uncle Peru.
Uncle Peru. He dies, doesn't he? He's...
him and the missus are turned into skeletons.
At this point. Which is a very dramatic, sad moment. You know, I noticed with George Lucas, or this film, he doesn't hang on the emotional moments as long as you'd expect.
I think it's because he doesn't really...
Feel?
That one he's obviously proven. Like, I think it's the fact that he knows that for the purposes of a movie that something dramatic or something sad is meant to happen. But literally, Luke looks at his only family who are turned to skeletons is like, well, looks like we're going to space, you know?
Okay, I'll go with you.
Yeah. And that's it. It's like, all right, means to an end.
Not a tear shed.
Nah, not at all. Well, he looks wistfully at the sun, doesn't he?
That's when he wants to go...
So obviously,
that's when he doesn't want to stay another season. He looks sadly.
It's obviously his desire to leave is greater than his desire for a family.
Yeah, he's not really that upset about it.
Just because you don't understand Luke, don't criticize him. Yeah.
I've written Moss Isley,
Moss Ice,
Moss Ice CGI. What did I mean by that?
Well, basically, I think as you said, we watched the Blu-ray version. Mm-hmm. And for the most part, we didn't have any... It didn't seem, the first third of the movie, there's anything madly offensive happening in terms of CG. But once we hit Mos Eisley, that's when they had all the little shit happening in the background and the really badly animated robots.
So much stuff packed into the scenes.
And the scenes are all CG. And I think it stuck out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And then we meet Han there, don't we?
Han Solo.
I know who he is. And
I think you liked Han Solo.
You don't think I like him?
I think you did like him.
He's a bit of a cocky lad, isn't he?
Isn't he? Yeah.
But he's captain of the Millennium Falcon. That's what we know about him. I'm still not quite sure who he is. He's just a guy.
He's a smuggler.
Captain of a ship.
Yeah.
Owes money to the big slug.
He's basically Firefly.
Okay.
That's him.
Don't... Again.
Oh, you have for fuck's sake, Sam. Jesus. Never mind.
That's the crux of
the crux of the podcast.
Yeah.
So they're going into space. But before they go into space, something obviously very, very important happens, because before you even watch the film, you're harping on about Han shot first.
All I knew about Han
Was that he shot
first.
Yeah.
Very excited.
Sits down and a fly dude comes over, Mr. Greedo, and he's like, alright, how's it going, mate?
I've got you now.
I've got you now.
Yeah.
And he clearly states that he's like, right, I'm going to go get this reward. And then inexplicably, in this Blu-ray version, he kind of shoots first, but you didn't even catch it. It was so quick.
It's a letdown of a scene. There's so much fuss about Han shooting first.
It's fuss about fucking nothing.
Yeah.
Because it's not as if anyone gets their dick out or anything.
No.
Like, I mean...
He shoots this fly thing, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's no biggie, like.
Even if he hadn't have shot first, I wouldn't have been that upset.
Do you... Well, he didn't. He didn't shoot first.
Let's not have this.
That's what's so shit about it. You can't even tell if he shot first or not.
Yeah, it happens too quickly.
Sorry, we didn't watch it in the requisite slow mo. Like we weren't trying to wank to it by putting it in slow motion. Like who's watching it that slow? Yeah. I mean, come on.
I've just accepted that Han shot first.
I'm
fine with that. The end, done.
Yeah,
killed the thing. Not a big character that he kills. I thought that was part of it. I thought maybe he shot first and killed someone important. No. It's a little fly dude. It's a pointless scene with a lot of fuss.
Much ado about nothing.
Big
basically.
Talking point. We see Jabba.
Oh, we see Jabba. Jeez.
We see Jabba the big slug man.
This scene was not in the original movie.
Okay.
They shot it with a human, and then they post-productionally, after Jabba was made a slug in later movies, they put him in as a slug in this one. And when they re-released it, they're like, we'll just CG him in.
Okay.
And the problem with that was that the original footage had Han walking around him because he was a human. But now that he was a big slug, they had to somehow get Han to walk around him in this shot.
Hold on. Jabba in the original movie?
Yeah, it was just a dude.
What?
A human.
A human man?
Yeah. They just shot a scene with a human dude. And he's like,
in the released version?
No, it was cut, that scene is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So then they put it back in a later release because they had the footage. Yeah. Okay. But they had to come up with a way for him to walk around.
That makes so much more sense.
Because I think the worst shot in the movie...
Yeah, is Han walking around Jabba.
You say walking around...
Darting around him.
Kind of like he's
blurring around
crappily giffed around.
It's
like
terrible.
He's like...
It's terrible. It's not really a necessary scene, I don't think.
No.
It helps a bit so that you know what's going on.
But everything
so there's no Jabba in the original.
No, there's not. And what's funny is that in the original, like, everything that happens in that scene, you're told in the previous scene anyway.
Yeah, it just kind of shows it to you.
So all that scene really does is show you that your man who he shot was telling the truth.
Yeah.
He wasn't exaggerating. Like
this Jabba guy, big slug thing.
And seemingly quite reasonable, because one minute he wants to kill me, he's like, well, I'll give you extras. Yeah. Grand. See ya. Yeah.
It's a terrible scene because he looking at him and pointing at him, and that doesn't quite work. But the going around him, that's terrible.
Terrifying.
Now they chose to CG that, and there's things that they chose to CG and then things that they didn't, which makes no.
It's inconsistent.
It's completely inconsistent. There's claymation
on the chessboard, for instance.
The chessboard thing that's not been CGI'd, and I assume would be easy to.
And then of course there's a lot of scenes where they use miniatures and models and whatnot.
It's the lack of consistency that I imagine must be a bit confusing for people.
Offensive. Like, were you like? How many times in the movie do you think you were like, Jesus, that is fucking CG, that just is fucking...
It's not... It wasn't like terrible CGI.
It was just...
It was just not... It didn't fit.
Yeah.
With the thing.
Because there's like bits they CG'd and bits they didn't.
It takes you out, and especially in Blu-ray quality.
Where basically...
It shows up.
There's a big massive outliner and everything that's not like... Big highlighter comes down. It's like, look, this bit isn't right. Like, yeah. I think a scene which we both enjoyed thoroughly, always one of my favourites... It's when you've got Darth Vader with Tywin Lannister and the rest of the small council meeting. When they're talking about how awesome their battle station is, except the fat English one who's like, this battle station ain't Wicks.
Darth, I don't like this stuff.
Oh, Darth. And yeah, he basically slags off Darth, mate, this isn't, this is the best shit ever. And he's like, but I mean, come on, lads. The Force, am I right? Like,
it's nothing compared to the power of the Force.
Yeah.
And then this lad's like...
Sorcerer's tricks.
Don't be coming at me with your sorcerer's bullshit, Darth.
And then...
basically. And then he chokes him.
Force choke.
Force choke.
Which
That showed him.
that showed him good.
That showed him up. I've got stretch out with your feelings.
Luke. Oh yeah, Luke is doing the target practicing with the lightsaber on the Millennium Falcon.
Oh yeah, and
then like
Obi puts a.
Obi puts it on. He's like, with the blue shield, I can't see anything.
with this shield in front of my face, I can't see anything.
So Obi-Wan's like,
yeah.
stretch out with your feelings then, mate.
Makes
like,
perfect sense.
Did you hate that when someone gives you really rubbish, vague advice like that? Like,
Stretch out with your feelings.
you stretch out with your feelings, old man.
Hey, he does, and he hits the doodad. Chewie with a gun looks funny.
I'd say Chewie. Yeah, we haven't mentioned Chewie. What do you think of Chewie? I've been informed that I look like Chewie. Like, so I've always.
You've got the. Yeah.
I've got the general
hairy man.
The hair.
Yeah.
down.
You've got the Chewie hair.
Right colour. I'm the same colour as Chewie, hair-wise. Yeah.
Aggressive.
Wear diagonal belts.
Yeah,
kinda,
a lot. Looks silly with a gun.
Look, I look ridiculous.
So silly.
So silly. So you don't like Chewie with a gun?
Chewie with a gun was
so like,
so funny.
Chewie on his own is like, that's grand, but put a gun in his hands like, what's he doing? Like,
the same way he has to hold a gun and it just looks really silly.
You know, I'm going to have to ask you to do now, Sam.
What?
Can I hear your best Chewie impression?
You can absolutely. No.
Come on.
What's he saying? It's like, I can't do it.
Let's hear that again. Let's hear that one more time.
It's like I've not practiced. I just.
Now, what you've actually done a very accurate impression of there is your cat.
Yeah.
So, would you...
Chewbacca.
Chewie's good, though.
Yeah.
I think we can agree Chewie's a marketable fella. Right, so basically what happens is, I think the next part we moved on to was Princess Leia being tortured.
Yep.
And then blowing up her home planet.
Oh yeah, that was me. She didn't protest as much as you would hope when it's like a home planet. Like, oh no.
I mean, your hometown you'd protest more about.
Yeah.
Imagine if someone was like, right, we're going to blow up Earth.
Yeah.
I'm like, if someone said, like, oh, I'm going to blow up Ireland, I'd be like, come on now. You know, I'd fucking be more indignant than that.
She didn't get too worked up about it.
She was like, why would you blow that up? You could blow up, you know...
Yeah, do one of the other ones.
You know what it is, mate? It's Star Wars, yeah, because all these galaxies and all these fucking planets, they're just taken for granted, like.
Yeah, she's sport for choice.
We've only got the few there are.
Yeah,
I mean, if we lose Earth, what's next, like?
Whereas Leah's got... She can go anywhere.
We're just fools, like, we're like the poor kid at school, desperately clinging on to their one toy, like, you know, oh no, you know.
Oh no, don't take away Alderaan. Oh no, well if you're gonna.
Oh, if you're gonna.
I mean, go on then.
If you insist.
Oh, that's a shame.
We arrived to Alderaan then, and then like,
I think so.
The worst thing about Alderaan being blown up, I think, was Han couldn't update the TomTom.
Yeah. It says it's right here, but
and
there's
again,
no Alderaan.
And again, here's the other thing: was it like they were all kind of just pretty much all right with the fact that, like, well, I guess it's blown up.
Yeah. Well, Obi-Wan, Ben Kenobi.
Ben's the emotional.
Ben just says like, "Oh, I think something's gone wrong," beforehand. When it gets blown up, he's like, "Oh, something's happened. Not quite sure what."
He's kind of
so when you get to Alderaan and it's not there, it's like, "Well, it's been blown up."
But no one sheds a tear.
No, I was like, oh, okay.
Was Alderaan like a massive shithole, I wonder?
It's a planet with people on it.
Planet with wankers, mate. Like,
but,
mate, good riddance, eh?
Dead now.
Mate, dead now, innit?
Dead now. And that's fine. So Alderaan's not there. Alderaan, not there. Not on the TomTom. Han Solo a bit annoyed, a bit miffed.
Yeah, because he wants to get his money, isn't he?
Yeah, he was excited for his money, and it's not there. I think we've all been in that situation.
Definitely.
So then they get onto the Death Star at some point, don't they? No.
Yeah, no. They come after this. Then they realise there's a Death Star there.
No Alderaan.
And they're sucked into it using some sort of vacuum.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once they arrive on the Death Star, again, it was another moment which caused you to laugh massively, which is they arrive on the Death Star and then Darth Vader looks at the cameras like, "I've not felt this presence since." ... and like looks wistfully
and walks away. Because Darth Vader's embodied by one man and voiced by another.
Yes, and
Okay.
his sword fighting was done by another man as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So 3 guys played Darth Vader.
So I think that line is one of those ones where
There was a disconnect between voice actor and body actor.
I've not felt this since.
Just
rolls off.
I've not felt this since lunchtime, eh? Come on, let's go get some sandwiches, huh?
Yeah, there was a longer scene there, but Dave Prowse was a hungry man.
Obviously, you're a Dave Prowse man, obviously.
I know about Dave Prowse.
I mean, I've seen you cross roads, mate, like... You know which end is which, eh?
Is he the You Must Be Out of Your Tiny Mind?
Yeah,
exactly. That's Dave Prowse.
Britain's gentle giant.
Why didn't he voice Darth Vader?
The one thing I will say about Mr. Prowse is that in Ireland, because he was such a gentle sort, we were always very worried that, England might unleash him on us. Like,
Prowse.
Well, he's like a formidable figure. Yeah. And he felt that kind of, I don't know, if the Queen gave the word, he'd come over here and, like... make us cross the roads wrong or something like that, Just something to consider.
He's a menace. They've got Chewbacca in shackles. Chewbackles.
Way! That is the fucking best pun we've had so far. Congratulations. Chewbackles.
This is part of a scheme from Luke.
A scheme?
Luke's got a scheme.
Well, yeah, he's got a scheme.
Pop these shackles on him. Chewie's having none of it. Han, softer touch. Gets those shackles straight on. They're dressed as stormtroopers. They've got to Leia,
which I believe
are they going to rescue Leia?
They want to go and rescue Leia because Luke, we all knows Leia is important, and Han wants the Mule. But
Ben's gone.
Yeah, they take him to the detention cells because that's where Leia is, and they come in, and this is another moment which caused you to break down, which was, where are you taking this thing?
That was a good moment.
Did you notice how all the baddies are English?
All the baddies are really English.
Like
super English. The ones with faces.
Do you want to take like a bit of a hard look in the mirror,
No, I'm fine with that.
Yeah?
That's alright. Yeah.
Sam Galactic Empire champion.
I'm used to American heroes.
And British
English
villains.
baddies.
Even the Nazis are English villains usually most of the time, And they shoot the place up.
Yep.
First real bit of action, like proper action in the film, really. A lot of lasers, a lot of smoke.
A lot of quasar.
A lot of sparks.
Yeah.
Were you thrilled?
I was thrilled. Again, the thing is, the deaths are not quite right.
Because no one's got faces who dies.
The stormtroopers all don't have faces, and I think that's important. That you don't care when they die, because they're not...
They're the least.
Seem real.
They're the least sympathetic.
Yeah. When they die, they fall over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with a black mark on their chest. And a bit of smoke coming off.
They're out of the game. Yeah.
They've lost,
Yeah, but there'll be some more to replace them. When does Han have his inane conversation with...
it was just after this point, yeah.
Okay.
So he goes on the little thing. It's like, hey, we're fine.
Yeah.
We're super fine. How are you? Then he shoots it and he's like...
He's such a confident man. He really crumbles when he has to improvise.
It's like, I really want to see what Han with a lady, like, because he's all like kind of, yeah, man, I've made the Kessel Run and, Kessel Run being my dick, that is. He's all kind of sexy.
There's only one person I'd take on.
Yeah, me. And then he's meeting a lady like, oh, I'm fine. How are you?
Yeah.
And then he shoots her. Boring conversation anyway.
We're all fine. How are you? There's been a large leak. And then the guard quickly cottons onto this. It's like, hey, wait a minute.
There's no leak.
And then Han does this sort of equivalent of hanging up on a prank call. He just shoots the intercom.
Have you never shot your phone after, like,
After I've been flustered.
After doing a crank call,
Someone calls Chewbacca a big furry oaf.
Yeah, that was Leia.
That was Leia.
She calls him a walking carpet.
Leia is mean to Chewbacca, and I don't know why.
Well, this is funny because they get trapped in the garbage disposal, blah de blah.
Luke nearly drowns in garbage water.
Oh, it's
that would have been
icky
awful.
soup.
Yeah,
it's not pleasant.
I kept imagining the smell.
Poo gas.
Oh, you don't want to drown in liquid poo gas.
It's like someone's made stock out of a poo.
Oh,
that's what that was.
And he was right under the poo stock.
Oh, he probably breathed in some of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's when they came out, you decided then that Han Solo was sexist. Because he was like, any more crazy ideas you want to get us into, you crazy broad or whatever?
He's like, I'm done taking female advice.
Oh!
Yeah, that was a bit stern.
On the nose there, Han.
So I think Leia associates Chewbacca with Han. and takes out some of her frustrations on poor Chewbacca.
Well, I think Chewbacca is basically like a silent representation of secondary male sexual characteristics, isn't he? He's basically puberty come to life for men. No, he's tall. He's got a weird voice. He has hair.
Yeah, his voice is basically still.
So if
breaking.
you're Leia and you're miffed and you're looking for a target of your aggression, I mean, Chewbacca is pretty much
big furry oaf, walking carpet. Something I observed. I haven't seen a carpeted room in the entirety of the movie.
How is that reference right over it? Because no one laughs when she says it, obviously. So obviously
they're all just thinking. What's it?
I bet the only carpet was on Alderaan, and now they've blown it up. Like so, most of the rooms lino, kind of. I would have gathered, but no carpet in this galaxy.
Clinical. You don't want carpet. You don't want someone hoovering on the Death Star. You don't think about that, do you?
Well, particularly with someone like Chewbacca walking around, you don't want to have a carpet then, because
then you get
fucking
fur
nightmare. Dander, mate. Dander, small particles of hair and skin from animals, which causes havoc on some people's allergies. But I did like the fact that it was like the second after you were like, well, Han's a bit sexist, but then Leia just all of a sudden becomes the sassiest, most in-your-face female character ever.
She steps up in response to that.
Not bad for George Lucas, who clearly has got like deficiencies when it comes to empathy or understanding other. He's not
of any emotion. He's
any emotion. Difficult. So the fact that he manages to make a female character like have a cool moment or two is like, he's no George or Martin, man. But you know.
You made an observation about robots, that when C-3PO and R2-D2 need to get past a stormtrooper, they say, maintenance.
Yeah, and they're like, shit, that's fine.
That you compared to women's trouble.
Well, yeah, because it seemed like a real
women's problems.
Like stormtroopers seemed so like small-minded and whatnot that it felt like. Yeah, it was very much kind of like, you know, an upper middle management type boss, like, say no more, like, you know, and you just kind of don't want to know any details, you know.
Maintenance.
Maintenance, fine, whatever, man. Just I don't want to know about it, like, and he washed his hands of the whole thing, like.
It's so easy for them to get past him just saying maintenance.
Like the stormtroopers, like at the start, they get like the mind tricks put on them, and it's like, Jesus, you know, they got, you know, really swindled good and proper. But by the end of the movie, if the golden robot and the trash can are like sneaking by you, you know, they're not exactly formidable.
No. Again, even that's not quite consistent. I suppose that some stormtroopers, I suppose they're all people. Screaming Han.
Oh, when he chases after all the stormtroopers, going, and then he gets to the room, and there are loads of stormtroopers.
What's his game plan there?
He shoots.
He runs.
3 guys come.
Yeah.
He shoots one of them. The other 2 start running away.
Yeah.
And he's with Chewie. So he's like, well, we'll get these fucking creeps. And he runs after them.
Screaming.
Not realising that they're going,
big room.
Going to the bunkhouse where all the stormtroopers are there playing Yahtzee.
I thought that was his plan all along. He was like, if I scream loud enough, they're going to disperse.
What? Because they're bears. Like, cause that's how stormtroopers...
just being big and loud.
Making a big hullabaloo, like...
And then Luke and Leia, when are they at the bridge bit?
Yeah. Little kiss.
Now
you know about, obviously, the...
they're related.
You know,
sister?
Well, again, we've got, you know...
Forward
Cersei and Jaime Lannister here.
Yeah, we've got advanced knowledge on this. There's a kiss moment. Blink and you miss it. Because...
It's the only kiss in the film, isn't it?
There's another one later on when...
But it's like a little... You know, it's so...
The kiss for look.
That's so sterile.
Any other director would at least do that in a close-up shot.
Well, if you're going to like jump across a chasm, you're gonna have more than a peck.
Yeah.
You know, I thought I would have expected like hand on the hip.
Is George Lucas grossed out by kissing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't like it.
Yeah. No, you know, it's just that I don't even think not that he doesn't like it. It's just he thoroughly doesn't understand it.
Yeah. It's like a kiss for look. Off we go.
You know, I mean, obviously, it's
he knows. Again,
it's another thing like the body's dying. I think it's like he knows that he has to do it.
Yeah, it's necessity rather than.
Yeah, it's like my mom makes cranberry sauce at Christmas, right? She hates it, but she knows she's just going to do it, and she doesn't really put much effort into it. Okay. It's just there. people are like kind of, well, she did it, fine, I can't say anything one way or the other because she made it.
Yeah.
That is George Lucas and kind of emotions, basically.
So you're saying George Lucas doesn't do it for the love of the cranberry sauce?
No, he does it. He does it because he knows he has to.
He's like that.
There might be
happens.
a scene. There might be a scene at Christmas dinner. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you know, that's George Lucas's approach on this.
I've got to put these sorts of moments in. I don't want to. Ooh, it's icky and gross.
Yeah, but
I know
fuck it,
that's what I'm
fine.
required. That's my
Yeah.
job as a filmmaker.
I know that some people like cranberry sauce kissing.
Some people
in their,
get sad when there's death.
I guess. Well, obviously, we have like a moment which I thought would be mad emotional.
Again, this
And
is
for
George
you-
Lucas not hanging on emotional moments. Darth just fucking.
Well, they have
taps
their
him.
they have their laser fight. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's not exactly.
It's not a big
you've seen
deal.
episode 1, so you've seen it better.
Yeah.
Sword
This
fight.
is like fencing.
This is like two dads.
Yeah.
At a historical reenactment
Yeah.
of a famous sword fight.
They're not putting their all into it.
No.
You know.
And Obi-Wan dies.
Yeah. As I saw
You
it,
didn't even. You were like, "Where?"
Darth-
You actually said, "Where's he gone?" like he,
Darth. You see it from Luke's perspective, I think.
yeah,
Darth sort of like taps him with a lightsaber, and like it's a magician's trick. Obi's just vanished, and there's just his cloak on the floor.
yeah. And you're like,
And
where is he?
Luke's upset. No, that's it.
Not a tear shed again.
No tears. No one's crying.
In fairness, if it's a day when an entire planet is gone, like,
Yeah, I want people to get.
forgive me if I don't mourn one person, like, you
It's an
know.
important.
Yeah,
man.
I know. Again, it's just, suppose it's
He
a.
just disappears. At this point, there's a celebration, right? When they've beaten all the things and
And they escape.
they escape.
Did you think the movie was going to end there?
That seemed like an end point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
fine.
escaped.
Shoot all the things. We did it. Yay! And then C-3PO. I'm melting. I don't know what. I don't know what happened to him. Did he just fall over in a
fell
pile
up.
of wires?
Every time C-3PO gets in a jam in this movie, it's just because he fell over. He's not very sure-footed.
No, he trips.
He just is like, and that's it, like, yeah. So yeah, then we basically kind of get the last 20 or so minutes then is the kind of the big set piece, the kind of, the movie is built to this. It's them attacking the Death Star, which, I haven't seen the movie in a few years. I thought that visually, it still lives up, because at the start there's a bit of crappy CG, but for the most part it's models and miniatures. I think it all looks
It's pretty good.
pretty good.
We've got the red group.
Yeah.
Red 6.
The fat one.
He's a fat man.
He's Red 6, more like Red 16 stone, mate.
Red 6. Fine. He's a fat man. That's okay.
Mate, he wouldn't be allowed in the Imperial Army with a gut like that, like.
His name?
Yeah.
Porkins.
Porkins.
Not even so unsubtle.
It's like
Call the fat one Porkins.
I would have called him Pork Scratchins, like, but that's just me, like.
Is that George Lucas being a meanie? Because I know he's a heavy man now.
He wasn't back then.
No, he's a rake back then.
And it's funny because now Porkins here, we said roly poly man, but like Porkins' gut is probably smaller than the sack that George Lucas has on his chin now. You know, that big kind of build up of whatever that is. So yeah, what comes around goes around, Lucas.
It just seemed mean.
And then of course he has to die as well because he's fat. Like
Porkins dies first, fat and slow.
what happens is because he's so fat, his ship just slowly descends because he's too heavy for it. All right, you laugh quite a bit here as well. Couple of bits. There was when the dude with the mustache meets Luke before they go off, and he's like, "Hey, buddy, it'll just be like old times. It'll be like that time back in Boston, John." You know, he's like,
"I've got some stories for you. Tell me those when we're back here."
And when we're back here, alive, you know. And then, of course, the fat guy dying as well caused you to go into convulsions. And anytime anyone...
Just because it seemed so obvious and like unfair to
die.
kill off Porkins. Yeah.
The other guy who died in a very funny way was the guy who's going, "Stay on target! Stay on target! Stay on target!
I can't stay on target! Stay on target! I can't stay on target!"
Well, now you're dead!
Yeah.
Huh?
That's what you get for being persistent.
That's what you get for staying on target, mate, isn't it? So, we get like a dog chase with Darth Vader and...
I've run out of notes here because I was very engrossed in the scene. That was proper.
Nice tensey cut back to Tywin, obviously.
Yeah.
And they're kind of going like looking really tense.
Yeah.
It'd be like 2 minutes till we're in position, and then we'll have like 5 minutes of action. It'd be like 1 minute and 59 seconds until like time. It's true what they say. A watch Death Star never lines up with Yavin 4. Yeah.
Darth gets in on the action conveniently because he's not going to get blown up, is he?
Not that.
Tywin, he's going down with the ship.
Yeah, and they're like, here, like we've got the car ready in case they blow this joint.
But the hubris of the man,
and he's like, excuse me. What is it about like things like the Empire? Yeah. Like, why do they have to have so much hubris? Like, why?
I don't know.
How do they get into that position of power with that attitude?
Yeah.
How do you end up making a big space station that has a weakness that's symbolic of your entire organization?
Also, that weakness seemed completely unrealistic to me.
But they were like,
shoot the exhaust.
But like, even they're saying it themselves. They're like, you know, like if small ships come here, we're pretty much fucking like, small ships? Yeah. But look how big our thing is. Like,
you'd like it if there was one villain who just made smart, logical decisions.
Like, it's possible to be villainous and have like a bit of logic about you. Like, you don't have to be like, excuse me, like, you know, twirling your mustache, cackling to yourself because you've built such a big space station. Yeah. Luke turns off his targeting computer.
He uses the Force.
He
hears the voice of Ben Kenobi.
Of Obi-Ben, like, yeah.
And taps on his helmet like it's coming through the thing. Like, oh, what?
I got you loud and clear here, like. But yeah, so Luke ends up... He takes off his targeting computer. Mm-hmm. Freestyle it, mate. Yeah. Of course, Han Solo returns.
Yep.
You know, to stand up for team handshot first.
He was arrogantly going to leave, wasn't he?
Oh, did you think he was really going to leave?
He was on the way out.
Huh?
Yeah.
Foot out the door?
Yeah.
And then he came back at the last minute. Like,
yeah.
It was nice. It gets me in the feels there.
Yeah.
Darth Vader suffers a fate worse than death as well, obviously.
What, his big...
spins around it a bit, like. Imagine that in space, like.
Whoa, and then he's fine again.
And then, like, wherever he is coming off, he's going to go off. His hand will be on the side of the wall, like, oh, just fucking...
He'll be a bit queasy.
Just give me a fucking... Jesus. I need a cup of tea, like,
I've got a feeling that's not the last we've seen of Darth Vader.
Darth Vader's like, lads, I can only have a bit of scrambled eggs on toast for me tea tonight, like, you know, I've got an uppy tummy.
Yeah.
You know? But do you think, Darth Vader, well, we've obviously seen the last of him, like, as if not to point out, he's spinning off for ages, right, kind of going, oh, geez, where is he going to end up? Well, then you see a shot of it, like, going, no, don't worry, he leveled out his ship, like, no peril whatsoever, like.
Yeah, Luke gets back safe and sound. R2-D2.
Oh, he gets fucking...
He suffered some damage.
Some superficial damage.
And at this point, C-3PO adorably offers up some of his robot organs. If I've got any circuits that can help.
That's so sweet.
It's so sweet. And it's so nice. And it's such a good buddy dynamic.
And it's very endearing. Mm. And they're very cute characters. And I love them as a kid. And I love them as an adult still. Which says a lot about a relationship that George Lucas, even though he can't handle death, romance... you know, mentorship, all these things he struggles to convey. But yeah, I think he gets the...
nice...
chums.
But yeah, the buddy dynamic.
He gets buddies and chums. Not friends.
Buddies
and chums. That's the forte right there.
And they're very good buddies and chums.
And then we have a nice big celebration at the end.
Yeah, they're all dressed up to the nines.
I thought they were going to get married, like... Like, they were, like, that's why they defeated the Empire, so they could finally have same-sex marriage, like, you know. Alderaan was, like, San Francisco. It was one of the first places that they blew it up, didn't they? Like, so now it's like, you can't stop it now, mate. It's a movement. Like, good for them.
R2-D2 comes back. Looks happy.
He's fucking delighted.
Looks so happy. He's shaking about, all happy.
Vibrating.
C-3PO's all polished.
Finally.
I'm very excited about them. Everything else. Everyone's happy on that planet, the rebel-based planet. It's all over. No Yoda.
Oh, were you expecting Yoda?
No Yoda. I was expecting Yoda. No Yoda. No. No Yoda. Not even in some sort of coda.
For fuck's sake!
There's no Yoda.
Mate, he was in his Skoda. Like, you go, Star Wars.
Star Wars.
What do you think of that? Like
Episode 4, A New Hope. Good. Very good. Lives up to the hype.
If you like had not been cajoled into watching it for the purposes of a podcast, like, I mean, like if we were not to do another, would you want to see the next Star Wars movie?
Oh yeah, I want to see the next Star Wars movie. I will do so as part of the podcast.
That's good to know, though.
But I want to know. I want to know what happens. I want to see Yoda, really.
Yeah, whatever.
See
Yoda's
Yoda.
great. Like,
I want to see more of the buddy chum dynamic.
C-3PO and R2-D2. Well, you'd be happy to know in all 6 films they have that. Like, I mean, you do get some films more than others, but you do get C-3PO and R2. They're like the only constant, really.
Okay.
In all movies. But I mean, would you say they were like that was your favorite thing by far? Like, or
yeah, I'd say so. It was so sweet.
Yeah.
And for a film that doesn't have a lot of touching.
It is quite sterile, the whole thing.
Yeah, it's good. There's great action, and I'm not a big action fan, but the action's good. But the thing that stuck out was just the sweetness of...
I think what's a great thing about this film is that, and this may be taken wrong, but it's like... It's not going to cause you to think very deeply about anything. No. Everything is superficial in a good way, if you know what I mean. Yeah, it's all skin deep. It's like, you're not going to watch this with your dad when you're 8 years old and a fucking awkward moment's going to happen, you know? No. Like, no sexy lady's going to come on screen and be like, do something sexy and be like, oh, jeez, this is awkward.
Even the kiss, you can just pretend it never happened.
Well, yeah, because that's what George Lucas did, like. And the players involved. Were there any misconceptions about the film you had which turned out to be not true after watching it now? As in, did you think the movie was like a certain thing or a certain way, or, you know, had certain aspects to it, and then like watching it you're like, oh, actually no, it wasn't like that at all? Or was it what you expected it to be like? Because I imagine with everyone going on about Star Wars, me included,
I expected it to be a bit more complicated, even though I didn't. There were times where I had to say, where are they now? What's happening? What's going on? It's quite a simple plot. It's
like most of those sci-fi things that like the movies, the main ones are simple, but like if you want to go and do your fucking extended reading or whatever, it's there, and it is more complicated underneath if you want it to be. Yeah.
I think the hype was justified, but I think also the hype covers the first 3, doesn't it? Yeah. Like no one's going on about specifically how amazing A New Hope
except Kevin Smith. He goes on about the sorry, what were you saying about? You were saying the hype about the first 3, as in the ones which we started watching.
Yeah, 4, 5, and 6.
Well, no, Kevin Smith likes the original ones. He called episode 3 a tragedy on par with Romeo and Juliet. What? Now, spoiler alert, it is not that.
That's.
So Sam, if you were to give it your seal of approval / rating for this film for all potential, because you know everyone listening to this is probably like, well, I've not seen Star Wars, you know.
Does it get
the only person who could be watching this actually hoping, you know, to watch a film based on your recommendation is Sam from the past, if he somehow has access to
That's a good thing to think. Like, would I recommend this to me?
Yeah, to past Sam.
Yeah.
Specifically, past child Sam.
He would have enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I would give Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, 4.5 star wipes out of 5. The thing that takes it away from the 5 is
the wipes.
The wipes themselves.
Really? A whole half a wipe for that?
Half a star wipe for the wipes. I think that's...
No, that's fine. It's not
no
perfect.
one wanted to subtract more for the wipes. I couldn't get past the wipes. We've been over the wipes.
4.5
star wipes.
4.5 star wipes. You heard it here. Thank you very much for listening to the pilot episode of Cinema Swirl. And as always, if you want to keep in touch with us, make sure you follow us on Twitter at Cinema Swirl. Go over to facebook.com/Cinema Swirl. Give us a like. Let us know what films you'd like us to review. Chances are Sam has not seen them. This episode was produced, recorded, and edited by me, Kevin, and all the music was written, recorded, and provided by Sam Chaplin. Our amazing logo was drawn and designed by Miss Joanna Graham. And as always, thank you very much for listening to Cinema Swirl. Hi, I'm Kevin Mahan.
And I'm Sam Chaplin.
I host the Attitude Era podcast.
And I haven't seen any films.
And welcome to Cinema Swirl.